Another day, another book review. I listened to the audiobook for Ghosted by J.M. Darhauer, narrated by Maxine Mitchell and Joe Arden, the dream team. Do you guys remember that movie Forever My Girl that came out in 2018? This book was giving me those vibes. It definitely wasn't a copy and paste, but it had very similar themes. Our two main characters grow up as high school sweethearts and fall very hard and very fast. Our male lead comes from a pretty abusive household and has big dreams to be a professional actor one day. Now, when they first met, something that bonded them together was their mutual love for this comic book series about a superhero called Breezio. So they both graduate high school, and he's decided that he has had enough of his home life and he wants to move to LA, and he asks her to basically run away with him, and she doesn't hesitate. Like, she's in it, and she says absolutely, packs a bag, leaves a note for her parents, and is like, I'm moving to LA with the love of my life. One thing I did really enjoy about these characters, though, is that they weren't dumb. Although they may have been like young and naive about the trials that they may have faced, running away and like leaving their families behind and all the support that was provided them, I do feel like their love for each other, at least on her side, was a very like mature love. When they got there, they struggled. Both of their parents basically cut them off financially, which was a huge lifestyle shift for both of them because they came from pretty wealthy households, especially him. Like, he had a Porsche that he ended up having to sell so once they got there so that they could afford this like hole-in-the-wall shack apartment. He was doing whatever he could to get his foot in the door in the acting world, and she was working 2 jobs to help pay the bills while he worked on his dream. She had dreams of being a writer, like when she was in high school, she used to write fanfics about Breezio and all that stuff. And while they were together, she was like documenting their relationship. So that's something that in this book, it switches from like past and present, but the past isn't really like a flashback. It's more of like her journal entries of the past, from like her POV, but also almost his POV. Does that make sense? Like, she wrote it, but she almost wrote it as like a script talking about him. Does that make sense? Like, he was clearly the main character of her story. So he's been in LA a while. He just can't seem to get his foot in the door. She's been doing the majority of the like working and providing while he's trying to launch his dreams. She's been nothing but supportive of that. But it also hits his pride a little bit. So he lies to her and says that he's getting jobs when really he's like stealing, breaking into cars, not good stuff. There was a talent manager that he actually got rejected by, and one night he gets caught breaking into his car. Didn't know it was his car. He kind of remembers him and says, hey, I'll give you another shot. Come to this meeting on blah, blah, blah day. He ends up getting signed with this manager after his second chance, and he starts getting smaller roles and then larger roles, more prominent roles. And it really starts to take its toll on their relationship because he's obviously has to go away to film while she's there working so that she can still pay the bills for their place. And through just like the lifestyle, he ends up picking up a substance addiction. And anyone who has struggled or has had someone close to them struggle with this, it can really like change who you are as a person. Their relationship has not been in a good place for a while because of his struggles. And she ends up finding out that she's pregnant. And when she tries to tell him, he ends up lashing out about her trying to get his attention and basically says, I don't want to listen to you. Tell someone who cares. And that was kind of the last straw for her. So she ends up, while he's gone at work, packing up all of her things and moving back home to her small town to be with her parents and have this baby. This book actually starts out present day at her mom's funeral, and her daughter is like 6 years old or something like that, maybe 5. And her ex is a famous movie star playing her favorite childhood superhero in the franchise, Breezio, which just so happens to be her daughter's like idol and favorite superhero. And no, her daughter doesn't know that that's her father. He ended up finding out that she was pregnant just like a few months before she actually had her, but he still struggled so much with substance that she was basically like, I would love for you to be a part of our child's life, but until you get this part under control, I'm not going to let you be a part of her life or anything like that. And it just took him a really long time. Multiple stints in rehab. but he's been on a sober streak for a good amount of time. It's a little bit after her mom's funeral at this point, and he was filming the last installment of the Brizio franchise, and he gets injured. So they end up having to pause production, and he goes back to his hometown to finally try to make things right. It takes a lot of convincing, but she finally does cave and agree to introduce them to his daughter and to come clean about the fact that he is her father. He is still very much in love with her, but because he's super famous and the public just likes to make up stuff about famous people, according to the media, he secretly eloped and is married to his co-star on the Brizio franchise, Serena, who also happens to be an addict. And he's been sober for a while now and has been trying to like encourage her to clean up her act, and she's not ready. Also, our poor female lead, she's like the assistant manager at like a Piggly Q grocery store, and she has this coworker who's just like a young fangirl, so unreliable. She like makes up stuff why she can't be at work all the time, and our female lead has to like pick up her shifts always. But this girl is like obsessed with Brizio. Even writes like erotic fan fiction about him. And like, how tough to have to hear your coworker chat about him all day long, knowing that he's like the love of your life that did you so dirty back in the day. Like, this girl has literally dumped shifts on her so that she could go stalk this man on like set for his Brizio films, or like try to find out where he's at in this, like, not cool fangirl stuff. But anyway, he meets his daughter. They hit it off right away. Now that he doesn't have all the juice in his brain, he's like a really great dad, and they just get along really well. This little girl is so cute. She definitely has some like show stealing moments. I loved reading about her. She was just really cute and funny and like intuitive. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. And obviously through giving him a chance to like be a father to their daughter, she's starting to warm back up to him, and he's fully like, I never stopped loving you and I want to get you back. And it takes her some time before she caves, and they go on dates. They even like take their daughter on dates, and she's like, you have to tell mommy that she's pretty, and you have to give her flowers, and you can't kiss her until the end of the date. That's so cute. And she also got a part in her school play as the snowflake, and he has been giving her acting lessons and going over her script with her, and it's super cute. At one point, he even takes her on like a father-daughter date to a Brizio convention, but he has to dress up in cosplay as like another character who's masked so that people don't recognize him. So he eventually heals from his injuries, and then obviously has to go back to filming Brizio, and they're doing a lot of filming in Europe, and so that's kind of sad because he's just kind of now become a family man, and he doesn't want to leave his daughter, and that's confusing for her because she just finally got her dad, and now he's going to be leaving for like a whole month, which to a kid is like so long. And he's supposed to be wrapping up the movie filming the same day that her school play is supposed to be, and he promised her he would be there, but he literally cuts it so freaking close that as soon as they say cut, he basically leaves in his Brizio costume. Like, he has a getaway car. His manager's like, wait, what? He flees. He's like 2 or 3 minutes late, just enough for them to panic, but then he like bursts in, and it's so cute. She like runs off the stage and is like, Daddy! And he's in his Brizio costume, and everyone's like, anyway, he ends up telling his manager that after this film, he's kind of done. He's going to be taking a break from acting to focus on his family. His manager's like kind of sleazy too. He's been like leaking all the information about him and his co-star Serena, information that like wasn't true at all. And he didn't know this, but all those years when they were in LA together, his manager actually approached his girl and was like, I'm going to need you to sign this NDA, basically saying that you're not going to get involved, you're not going to tell anyone that you guys are together, and if you don't sign this, I'm basically going to make sure that he doesn't move further in this industry. He tries to get her to sign one again, and she's like, nah, brah. And now that he's taking a break from acting, she's able to focus on what makes her happy. Like writing. The epilogue is like a year later. They're at the premiere for the Brizio movie he was filming. The whole family is together. They're happy. And I think she tells him she's having another baby. This was a really great audiobook. I gave it a 5 for performance, a 4 for story. and a 2 for spice. It had spice, but it wasn't a lot. I would recommend though.